Why does sex matter?
Because we're hardwired for it to matter.
Sex is important to life as eating and breathing.
I think sex matters because it makes you feel young.
Make you feel good.
Why does being a man versus being a woman, why would that matter when it comes to health?
We have a lot more stuff going on.
I think women and men have different concerns in health, and there's different things that you have to worry about health-wise.
Guys my age, we tend to just put things aside until we really need to get into the doctor.
There's a huge appetite for gender differences when it comes to your health. I think a lot of it has to do because it's so surprising that there are differences at all. So starting at that very basic level, people become curious, they become hooked, and then they're like, well, what are the differences exactly?
Do you think men or women have a larger brain?
I think women have larger brains because I'm a woman.
Women, of course.
Man, of course.
What we have found regarding the brain and the difference between men and women is that men's brains are bigger, 10% bigger on average. But if the old adage ever applied, it does apply here that size doesn't matter, because women tend to have more of what are called neurons, or the cells that actually do the hard work in the brain. So despite the fact that the men's brains are bigger, they're less dense. And women are more dense, but in the best sense of the word.
If you had to say one thing that a man was better at than a woman, what would you say that would be?
Athletic.
Auto repair.
They're not better. Maybe not quite as good as women.
Women are smarter. Just kidding.
If you're imagining a 3D image and you want to rotate that image in your head, just so you could see all the various facets of it, flip it around this way, flip it around that way, around. Men are better at that, as a general rule. Obviously not across the board, but men are better at that. Women are much better at taking lots of different tasks and somehow organizing them.
Who's more likely to get a sexually transmitted disease, men or women?
Oh, jeez, if I got this wrong, my teacher would kill me. I say that women are more likely to get one, right?
A woman. I would think a woman.
I feel like men are.
Women suffer more for lots of reasons, including the fact that the infection or disease can remain hidden for a long period of time, and men is more quickly visible.
When you think of sexual dysfunction, you think
Not able to perform.
Sexual dysfunction can't function.
Who suffers more from sexual dysfunction, men or women?
Oh, probably women.
And why?
We don't have a little blue pill?
The reason I believe that women suffer more from sexual dysfunction than men is because with men it's obvious. With women it's not so obvious. It's multifaceted, it's complex.
Most doctors don't recognize that heart disease remains the biggest killer of women. You know, if you get a woman in her 50s or 60s and she's always worried about her husband, always pestering her husband to go see the doctor, not thinking about herself as much, and she just starts to have a few days of feeling tired, just feeling generally tired, or having maybe what she thinks is indigestion after a meal or something like that, and she doesn't worry about it. Well, she's missing a critical window here to actually get something done.
What are the symptoms of a heart attack? Oh, good heavens. Pain, numbness in the arm, shortness of breath.
Sweating, tingling in the neck.
I think they're similar in men and women.
We still have this sort of Hollywood heart attack mentality. You expect someone to come in sort of clutching their chest and having classic symptoms. And we know, first of all, that's rarely the case. And second of all, women are probably even more so affected than men by it.
What is a clinical trial?
I can't remember, but I did see something about it on TV.
I don't know what a clinical trial is.
Different medications to see what are the side effects, adverse effects.
You go through the FDA, and it's a black hole from there. I have no idea.
So do you think that women are included in clinical trials?
I believe so. They would be.
As far as I know, I've never been to one, but I've read it. You read about the advertisements.
The reason pharmaceutical companies primarily tested on white males were that it was easier. Didn't have to worry about pregnancy, didn't have to worry about menstrual cycles. White men tended to volunteer for clinical research, while women and minorities tended not to, and still tend not to.
One of my partners, who incidentally is now an OBGYN at NIH, Dr. Alan DeCherney, was in this aspirin study. And I wanted to be in the aspirin study. I mean, if your partner's in it, you want to be in it, So they said, women weren't included. And they were giving some of the men aspirin, and some of the men were not getting aspirin. And I, of course, felt that it was important that I be in the study, and I was not allowed in the study because I was a female. And that sort of stuck in my brain. And it turned out it stuck in the brain of a lot of women who were then starting to enter the academic fields.
There are all these things that are starting to emerge, and the only way we're going to continue to learn about them is to do the studies, to do the research.
Women need to understand that without their pioneering participation in clinical research trials, there aren't going to be new products and new therapies for them and their daughters and for future generations of women.
Well, we've made a lot of progress. We understand now that there are sex differences, and these sex differences are important to understand the mechanisms of disease. And we need to continue this research because it's so important to all of us. And one day, hopefully, in the not-too-distant future, we'll know what the differences are and what the appropriate treatments should be for men and women, for different ethnic communities, and for different age groups. And that's why the work of the Society for Women's Health Research is so important.